The alien transmission arrived without warning, cutting through every satellite network, military frequency, and civilian broadcast across Earth at the exact same moment. Every screen flickered before displaying the same towering figure clad in black crystalline armor, seated upon a throne surrounded by burning stars. The Emperor of the Varkesh Dominion did not introduce himself. He simply declared that humanity's era had ended. Earth had exactly 24 hours to surrender all military assets, planetary governance, and scientific archives. Resistance would result in complete planetary sterilization. Billions watched in terrified silence as the countdown began. Across Earth, panic spread faster than any virus in recorded history. Governments declared global emergencies while financial markets collapsed within minutes. Religious leaders gathered crowds in prayer. Families rushed to shelters. Yet inside the deepest military command center beneath the Arctic ice, the world's highest-ranking leaders did something completely unexpected. Instead of discussing surrender, they activated an emergency protocol that had remained classified for nearly 80 years. Hidden beneath layers of forgotten history was a file carrying only 3 words: "If they come." The protocol did not contain battle plans or evacuation routes. Instead, it contained a single encrypted message recorded decades earlier by scientists, explorers, and military commanders who had discovered something impossible during humanity's earliest deep space experiments. They had found evidence that Earth was not alone long before anyone imagined. More importantly, they had found coordinates that every advanced civilization feared. The file ended with one chilling instruction: never reveal these coordinates unless extinction is certain. As the 24-hour deadline continued ticking away, representatives from every nation gathered through a secure quantum conference. Arguments erupted instantly. Some demanded surrender to preserve humanity. Others insisted on launching Earth's nuclear arsenal, despite knowing it would be useless against orbital warships. Finally, an elderly astrophysicist who had spent his entire life protecting the classified file quietly stood before the room. "We are asking the wrong question," he said. "The real question is whether the Varkesh understand what happens if someone goes there." Meanwhile, above Earth's atmosphere, the Varkesh armada continued arriving. Thousands of kilometer-long warships emerged from hyperspace, surrounding the blue planet like wolves encircling wounded prey. Their sensors detected Earth's primitive defenses and dismissed them as insignificant. The Emperor smiled as his admirals estimated victory would require less than 12 minutes after the surrender deadline expired. They had conquered hundreds of civilizations before. Humanity looked no different. Inside the Arctic command bunker, the final vote concluded. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would not send diplomats. They would not transmit threats. They would not negotiate. Instead, engineers powered up a communication array normally reserved for first contact diplomacy. Billions around the world expected to hear words of surrender. Instead, a tiny encrypted packet left Earth's atmosphere carrying nothing except a string of impossible coordinates and one short sentence: "We believe this belongs to you." The reaction aboard the Varkesh flagship was immediate. Senior navigators stared at the coordinates before their skin visibly lost color. Tactical officers checked the data repeatedly, convinced it had to be a mistake. One admiral quietly backed away from the display as if the numbers themselves were dangerous. Even hardened veterans who had survived galactic wars refused to speak. The bridge, once filled with confidence, became utterly silent. The Emperor demanded an explanation, furious that mere numbers had unsettled his elite officers. Finally, the oldest navigator slowly approached the throne. His voice trembled with genuine fear. Those coordinates pointed toward a region erased from every galactic map thousands of years earlier. Ancient civilizations had forbidden even speaking about it. Entire empires had vanished after attempting to investigate what existed there. The coordinates were known only through fragmented legends, yet somehow humanity possessed them. The Emperor refused to believe ancient myths could threaten the greatest empire ever assembled. Declaring his officers cowards, he ordered the fleet to ignore the transmission and proceed with Earth's extermination. But something unexpected happened. Nearly half the captains openly refused the command. Others shut down their weapon systems entirely. Several warships began retreating without authorization. Panic spread faster than discipline ever could. Back on Earth, astronomers noticed strange movements within the alien formation. Instead of advancing toward the planet, sections of the armada were repositioning into defensive formations. Some vessels even began charging hyperspace drives. News networks struggled to explain what was happening. Humanity had fired no weapons. No reinforcements had arrived. Yet the seemingly unstoppable invasion had suddenly stalled for reasons nobody outside the command bunker understood. Within the Varkesh fleet, historians were urgently summoned from encrypted archives. They confirmed the terrifying truth. The coordinates matched the last recorded location of the first architects, a civilization so advanced that they had shaped star systems as easily as humans built cities. Every empire that sought to claim their abandoned domain had disappeared without leaving debris, distress calls, or survivors. No explanation had ever been discovered because no investigation fleet returned. The Emperor's rage transformed into suspicion. He demanded to know how an isolated species from an undeveloped world had acquired information forbidden even to galactic royalty. Intelligence officers searched every database regarding humanity's history, but found nothing unusual. Earth's technological level remained primitive by interstellar standards. Yet their knowledge suggested access to secrets older than civilization itself. That contradiction terrified everyone more than any weapon ever could. Hidden beneath Antarctica, another classified chamber opened for the first time in generations. A handful of scientists activated an ancient device recovered from a meteorite decades earlier. The object had never been understood, never successfully powered, and never responded to human experiments. Until now. The moment Earth's transmission reached the Varkesh fleet, the device awakened on its own. Its smooth metallic surface glowed with unfamiliar symbols before projecting a single message into the air. Signal acknowledged. Nobody in the chamber spoke. Instruments recorded impossible energy readings while gravity itself seemed to fluctuate around the artifact. Satellites orbiting Earth simultaneously detected an enormous distortion forming beyond Pluto, where no natural phenomenon had ever existed. Every telescope turned toward the anomaly. Something unimaginably massive was emerging from the darkness between stars. The Varkesh fleet detected it seconds later. Their most advanced sensors failed to measure its size because the object exceeded every known parameter. It was not merely larger than their battleships. It dwarfed entire fleets. Worse still, it emitted no engine signatures, no weapons locks, and no communications. It simply appeared as though space itself had unfolded to reveal something that had always been waiting. Then every screen aboard every Varkesh vessel displayed the same message in their own language. Unauthorized approach to protected coordinates has been recorded. No sender identification followed. No military designation existed. The transmission ignored encryption, bypassed security, and spoke directly through every electronic system simultaneously. Veteran officers who had laughed at legends now whispered prayers their ancestors had nearly forgotten. Earth received the same message but with one critical difference. Beneath the warning appeared a second line. Custodian species recognized. Defensive request accepted. Military commanders stared at each other in disbelief. Humanity had never requested an alliance. They had only transmitted coordinates. Yet whatever ancient power guarded that forgotten region had interpreted Earth's action as an authorized call for assistance. The Emperor finally understood the trap. Humanity had never intended to defeat the Varkesh Empire through superior firepower. They had simply forced the invaders to reveal themselves before something infinitely older and vastly more powerful. The greatest military force in the galaxy had unknowingly violated a boundary established long before their species evolved. Their invasion of Earth had become evidence against them. Without firing a single shot, the colossal Guardian vessel moved. Entire Varkesh battle groups vanished instantly, not through explosions but by simply ceasing to exist, erased with terrifying precision. The remaining ships immediately transmitted unconditional surrender, abandoning weapons, command authority, and centuries of conquest. Across the galaxy, civilizations watching the confrontation realized the age of the Varkesh Empire had ended in less than an hour. As Earth's people celebrated what they believed was an impossible victory, the ancient artifact beneath Antarctica dimmed once more. Before falling silent forever, it projected one final sentence that only a handful of humans would ever witness. The coordinates were never a weapon. They were a key. Humanity has now unlocked the next chapter. Far beyond the stars, countless dormant lights awakened together, and for the first time in cosmic history, the galaxy began preparing not for humanity's surrender, but for humanity's arrival. Long after the Varkesh fleet surrendered, no celebration could erase the questions echoing through every government, observatory, and military command on Earth. Humanity had survived an invasion without firing a decisive shot. Yet no one truly understood who or what had answered their call. The Guardian vessel remained motionless beyond Pluto, its impossible silhouette visible through every deep space telescope. It neither approached Earth nor departed. It simply waited, as though expecting humanity to make the next move. 3 days later, the Guardian transmitted another message. This time it was not directed at governments or militaries, but at every human being simultaneously. Every language, every dialect, every form of communication carried the same words with perfect clarity. Your species has fulfilled the final condition of the Custodian Accord. A representative must now step forward. The message ended, without explaining what the accord was or why. Humanity had apparently become part of it. The United Nations hurriedly assembled the largest diplomatic summit in history. Presidents, scientists, philosophers, engineers, historians, and military leaders debated endlessly over who should answer the summons. Some argued for Earth's most experienced diplomat. Others insisted only a military commander should represent humanity. After 48 exhausting hours, they reached an unexpected conclusion. The representative would not be chosen for power or rank, but for curiosity, integrity, and the ability to ask questions rather than issue demands. A lone human shuttle launched toward the Guardian vessel under the watchful eyes of billions. As the tiny craft crossed the edge of the solar system, something impossible happened. The enormous structure began changing shape. Plates of living metal folded inward while entire sections rearranged themselves like flowing liquid. By the time the shuttle reached docking distance, the vessel had transformed into a massive gateway rather than a warship, revealing a corridor lined with glowing symbols that shifted in response to the human presence. Inside, the representative expected machines or soldiers. Instead, they found an endless hall filled with holographic records of civilizations, stretching back millions of years. Species that had flourished before Earth's continents had formed were preserved there in astonishing detail. Some resembled beings of light. Others existed as crystalline minds, and many bore no resemblance to life as humanity understood it. Yet every one of them carried the same title beneath its image: former custodian. The Guardian finally revealed its purpose. It was not an empire, an artificial intelligence, or even a weapon. It was the last surviving archive of the first architects, created to identify civilizations capable of wielding extraordinary power without seeking domination. Thousands of species had attempted to force entry into the protected coordinates over millions of years. Every one of them had failed because they came seeking conquest instead of understanding. Earth's representative asked the question every human wanted answered. "Why us?" The Guardian's reply echoed through the immense chamber. "Because when extinction stood before your world, your first act was not revenge. You did not unleash destruction. You sent knowledge." The Guardian explained that humanity's transmission demonstrated restraint under unimaginable pressure, the rarest quality in galactic history. It proved that humans valued wisdom above annihilation, even when facing certain death. Meanwhile, news of the Varkesh defeat spread across the galaxy, faster than light through ancient quantum networks. Worlds that had lived under imperial occupation for centuries declared independence almost overnight. Fleets once loyal to the Varkesh Emperor lowered their banners without resistance. Entire sectors celebrated Earth's courage, not because humanity had won a battle, but because they had broken the illusion that the Varkesh Empire was invincible. The former emperor, stripped of his throne and imprisoned aboard his own flagship, spent his final days studying humanity's transmission. At last he admitted the mistake that had destroyed everything he had built. "We believed power belonged to whoever possessed the largest fleet," he confessed to his remaining officers. "We never imagined true power belonged to those trusted with the oldest secrets." His empire had conquered thousands of worlds, yet it had been defeated by a civilization that understood the value of a single set of coordinates. As Earth looked toward the stars with hope instead of fear, the Guardian opened the gateway fully for the first time in countless ages. Beyond it lay not weapons or treasure, but an untouched network of ancient worlds, limitless knowledge and technologies capable of reshaping civilization itself. Before the human representative stepped through, The Guardian delivered one final warning that would define humanity's future. Every civilization dreams of becoming the strongest. Very few survive becoming the Guardians. Your greatest test begins now.